Okay, let's unpack this. For a decade, the world's most wanted man, well, he vanished into thin air. The search for him became this relentless global manhunt. It was a saga filled with incredible intelligence work, um, some really near misses, and then a final, very dramatic confrontation. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the meticulously pieced together story of exactly how Osama bin Laden was found and ultimately, captured.
What's so compelling about this whole thing, it isn't just the final raid, right? It's the sheer breadth of the effort, the intricate intelligence gathering, that high-stakes technological cat-and-mouse game, and just the extraordinary human dedication that went into tracking a ghost across continents for, well, for years.
Yeah, the sources we've looked at for this deep dive, they give us an almost minute-by-minute account. It reveals these hidden pathways of the investigation and the operation that finally brought it all to a close. So our mission today is to extract the most crucial nuggets of knowledge from all this material. We want to give you a comprehensive, well-informed perspective on one of the most significant intelligence operations in modern history. Prepare for some truly surprising facts, and we promise just enough humor to keep you completely hooked. So the world, of course, was reeling from the September 11, 2001 attacks on the U.S. As the rubble settled, Osama bin Laden was, well, somewhere in a mountainous region of eastern Afghanistan. U.S. intelligence agencies, the CIA, FBI, NSA, they immediately sprang into action. No time wasted. Their first step was remarkably basic, actually, but crucial, pulling and meticulously checking passport and visa records for all the onboard passengers, just looking for any small detail, anything that might stand out.
And that intense scrutiny, it quickly led to identifying 19 potential hijackers. But here's where a truly significant break came in. Hijacker Mohammed Atta's bag. It was accidentally left behind at Boston Logan Airport, simply because of a connecting flight delay. Pure chance, really.
Incredible. And the CIA team, they wasted no time. They located the bag, opened it, and what they found inside was, well, damning. Al-Qaeda instructions, detailed training and planning manuals, and even Muhammad Atta's last will.
Yeah. That immediately confirmed al-Qaeda's involvement and, crucially, Osama's direct connection to the attacks. And that confirmation, that was just the beginning. The investigation didn't stop at the bag. They then dug into the hijackers' digital footprints, their old calls, emails, bank transactions. This traced the funding back to al-Qaeda, routed through wire transfers from Dubai, and it confirmed the hijackers had trained in Afghanistan and Pakistan. So this definitively linked al-Qaeda to the 9/11 attacks. And it's important to remember, al-Qaeda wasn't exactly a new threat to the U.S. The CIA had actually issued a warning back in August 2001, just a month before the attack, indicating that al-Qaeda was planning something significant. They already had a history attacking U.S. embassies. And the U.S. had already been pressing Afghanistan for some time to hand over Osama and, dismantle al-Qaeda.
Okay, so with this official confirmation, the pressure was just immense. On September 20th, 2001, President George W. Bush addressed a joint session of Congress. He publicly demanded that Afghanistan unconditionally hand over Osama bin Laden and immediately close all al-Qaeda's training camps. He made it crystal clear refusal would lead to U.S. military action.
Now, you might be wondering, why didn't Afghanistan simply comply with the superpowers' demand? Seems logical, right? But the reality on the ground, it was far more complex. Afghanistan had been embroiled in a civil war since 1992. The Taliban controlled roughly 90% of the country, while the Northern Alliance held the remaining 10%.
Okay.
And Osama had provided substantial support to the Taliban, everything from direct funding to training their fighters, and they were deeply ideologically aligned. So handing him over wasn't an easy choice for them at all. It would have jeopardized their own precarious grip on power, and frankly, it would have been seen as a profound betrayal within their cultural code, protecting a guest.
Right, the guest culture aspect. And indeed, the very next day, September 21st, 2001, the Taliban responded. They demanded proof that Osama had actually carried out the attack. They firmly stated that he was their guest, and handing over a guest was simply against their culture.
Yeah, they dug their heels in.
The U.S., though, was unwilling to entertain further negotiation. They launched Operation Enduring Freedom just 2 weeks later, and they partnered with the Taliban's adversaries, the Northern Alliance, systematically destroying Taliban strongholds and beginning the full-scale hunt for Osama. So as the U.S. and the Northern Alliance steadily pushed back against the Taliban, Osama's situation became increasingly difficult. He retreated with his bodyguards to the Tora Bora Mountains in eastern Afghanistan, right near the Pakistani border. Now, here's a really critical moment in the hunt. Osama drastically cut off all electronic communication. He relied only on unsecured radio transmissions for the most urgent needs.
Which is huge, tactically. That move essentially rendered most of the U.S.'s advanced surveillance technology almost useless. But despite this monumental challenge, the U.S. intelligence teams, they began to gather crucial clues, albeit, analog clues.
Yeah, it really highlights how intelligence work often comes down to piecing together fragments from totally disparate sources. They had a captured al-Qaeda member who revealed he last saw Osama heading towards Tora Bora.
hmm Then, a U.S. team intercepting al-Qaeda's unsecured radio signals actually heard the name Tora Bora mentioned in their communications. And another fascinating piece of the puzzle came from studying al-Qaeda's communication methods. They discovered they used mirror reflections to send coded messages between mountains. And these reflections were observed daily in Tora Bora.
Wow, mirror signals. Incredible. But the most compelling piece of evidence was when Osama's actual voice was caught on one of those unsecured radio signals. A man named Jalal, who had dedicated 7 years to studying Osama's voice, unequivocally confirmed it, said it was his distinct speech pattern, his Arabic dialect.
That's the kind of human intelligence that makes all the difference.
Absolutely. This critical intel was immediately sent to CIA headquarters in Virginia. It was converted into an electronic battlefield map. Then a secret Delta Force team, led by Major Dalton Fury, along with 70 soldiers and a CIA team, they joined the Northern Alliance and headed directly to Tora Bora.
Right into the hornet's nest.
From December 3rd to 7th, 2001, the Delta Force dropped a staggering 700,000 pounds of bombs on Tora Bora. But still, Osama couldn't be found. He realized he was trapped. So in a really shrewd tactical move, he used an unsecured radio transmission again, contacted the Afghan Northern Alliance, proposed to surrender if they halted bombing for just 1 day.
Yeah, playing for time. The CIA, while suspicious, was desperate for confirmation. They listened intently as Osama, masterfully manipulated the conversation to convince them of his sincerity.
And the CIA, incredibly, they fell for it. On December 11th, they told the Northern Alliance to finalize the deal. Osama was supposed to surrender on December 12th, but during that critical ceasefire, he prepared an escape route, and under the cover of darkness, fled towards Pakistan on horses and mules with his bodyguards. Osama's family also disappeared from Afghanistan around this same time.
It wasn't just a missed opportunity. It was a profound strategic failure, a brutal lesson. It absolutely reshaped how the CIA would approach, future intel from high-value targets. Highlighted the critical need for absolute verification because they realized they'd been completely outmaneuvered. It just showed his cunning, his adaptability, and the extreme lengths he'd go to, even when he seemed cornered.
Yeah, a major setback. So just a week after his escape from Tora Bora, on December 19th, 2001, a CIA Afghan informer named Mukhtar provided critical intel. Osama's family had reached Pakistan. This immediately led the U.S. to believe Osama was also somewhere in Pakistan, and they began searching there initially with Pakistan's cooperation.
Osama had found refuge in Pakistan's federally administered tribal area, or FATA, a semi-autonomous region tribal governance model,
Wow.
where groups like Tehrik-i-Taliban Pakistan, Haqqani Network, Lashkar-Jhangvi held significant sway. They effectively harbored him there.
And upon his arrival, Osama completely changed his strategy once more, cut off all contact with the outside world, even with other al-Qaeda members. No one, not even other al-Qaeda members, knew his or his family's precise location.
It was a masterclass in going dark, really. To maintain communication and handle daily needs, security, logistics, Osama relied on his most trusted al-Qaeda member, Ibrahim al-Kuwaiti. He became his sole courier. Osama would write daily letters. Ibrahim would physically deliver them. He even signed them with a code name, Ajmal.
Wow, daily letters.
Yeah, this communication chain was almost entirely non-electronic, with one astonishing exception. For urgent messages, Ibrahim would log into a Gmail account, write a draft message, and al-Qaeda members with the same password would log in to read it without actually sending it.
A digital dead drop.
Wow.
Brilliant in a chilling way.
Yeah, a very low-tech but effective system. When Ibrahim found it difficult to manage alone, he got permission to bring his brother, Abrar al-Kuwaiti, as a second courier. And to further blend in, avoid suspicion. Ibrahim and Abrar even married 14-year-olds, Bushra and Maryam, presenting themselves as a typical Pashto family.
Incredible lengths to maintain cover. So for years, U.S. agencies, they exhausted every method imaginable to find Osama. They announced massive rewards, $5 million for any details. They even went so far as to print the reward on matchboxes in the FATA region just to make sure everyone knew about it.
And the CIA even secretly partnered with private mobile companies. AT&T, Sprint, and another firm mentioned in reports as probably Verizon or similar, planting secret keeps in mobile phones and computers sold in FATA, hoping to track al-Qaeda members that way.
But despite all these incredibly sophisticated efforts, everything failed, because Osama had completely shut down his electronic footprint.
Exactly. Which forced the CIA into increasingly desperate measures. Under immense pressure, immense frustration, they attempted to plant a double agent within al-Qaeda. They recruited Humam al-Balawi, also known as Abu Dujana. He was a doctor caught with al-Qaeda links. He was offered his freedom if he became a double agent and found Osama.
Risky strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So Balawi agreed.
He did. He received training, and the news was even spread that he had escaped CIA custody to bolster his cover story. He successfully gained al-Qaeda's trust, providing minor, seemingly useful intel. He even managed to treat the al-Qaeda mastermind al-Zawahiri, sending back medical reports to the CIA.
Which must have made them think they were finally getting somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. They were incredibly happy, their confidence boosted. Balawi then told the CIA via a secured network that he had critical information about Osama, but could only reveal it in person.
The in-person meeting request. Red flag.
Well, in their excitement, the CIA secretly brought him to their highly secured Camp Chapman. All the senior CIA officers were present. They were so excited they even had a surprise birthday cake for him.
Oh.
Yeah, and here's the horrifying twist. Balawi's security checks were bypassed at both checkpoints. He just walked in, met the top leadership, extended his hands as if to greet them, and then detonated a suicide vest.
Oh my.
Balawi was a triple agent, working with al-Qaeda all along to kill CIA officers. This horrific attack killed 7 CIA officers, 16 people in total, the worst incident in CIA history. Not only did they fail to find Osama, but they lost significant leadership. It severely slowed down the entire search process, plunged them right back into frustration and, frankly, grief.
Just devastating. A betrayal on such a scale.
It was. It highlighted the extreme lengths and the sheer ruthlessness of their adversaries. This incident undoubtedly instilled a deeper sense of caution, a profound need for watertight intelligence in all future operations. It was a painful reminder of the human cost, the constant psychological battle in this kind of work.
And this is where the story takes another unexpected turn, right? After new CIA leadership took over, and with Osama's health reportedly declining, al-Qaeda began seeking a new, more secure location. And they found a plot for sale in Abbottabad, Pakistan, right next to the Pakistan Military Academy.
Which just seems counterintuitive, doesn't it?
Totally. They actually believed its proximity to a military cantonment area would make it less suspicious. Abrar quickly purchased the 38,000 square foot plot for $50,000 cash, using a fake ID. A local architect, Muhammad Yunus, was hired, and a house was built by 2006. That year, Osama, Abrar, and Ibrahim's families all moved in. And for the next 5 years, the U.S. had absolutely no idea where he was.
5 years of silence. Imagine the frustration in the intelligence community then. They'd exhausted so many leads, but the breakthrough, when it finally came, it was almost accidental.
It truly was. August 27, 2010. That was the day. Osama's most trusted courier, Ibrahim, had to go to Peshawar City, an area that was already under CIA surveillance. Usually he used highly secure methods, but this time out of what investigators believed was just laziness, really. He used his personal phone in a public area for just a few seconds to call an al-Qaeda member.
A tiny slip-up after years of caution.
Exactly. The CIA immediately tracked Ibrahim's live location. They didn't apprehend him, though. Instead, they decided to follow his white Suzuki Potahar Jeep. It had a distinctive Reno logo on the spare tire, which became a key identifier. They wanted to see where he went.
Smart move. Tail him.
Ibrahim drove directly into Bilal town, Abbottabad, and entered this large compound. The CIA team watching, discussing their next steps. They decided to simply observe the compound for a few days, hold back before making any direct moves, hoping to trace Ibrahim's movements to a potential high-value target. And as the CIA observed, they immediately noticed the compound's unusual features. Despite its large size, 38,000 square feet, it had only one main entry. The perimeter walls were an extraordinary 18 feet high, topped with barbed wire.
Huge red flags for analysts.
And the upper floors had no windows. The balconies had unusually high 7-foot boundaries.
Right. For intelligence analysts, these aren't just quirks. They're screaming deliberate, almost obsessive isolation and security, far beyond what even a typical wealthy family would need. It was basically shouting, hidden target. However, their initial working theory was still that Osama couldn't possibly be there. They still pictured him in caves or remote mountains, not practically next door to the Pakistani military academy.
Yeah, the location just felt wrong to them. But further observation and Indirect inquiries with the locals revealed even more anomalies. The residents had maintained absolutely no contact with neighbors for 5 years. There were no wired phone lines or internet connected to the house, and despite being in a military area, there were no surveillance cameras anywhere near it.
Very strange. And locals described the residents as very wealthy. There was that story, right? When children's cricket ball went into the compound, it wasn't returned. But the residents instead gave the children 10 times its value, just paid them off.
Exactly. All these details, compiled and analyzed, eventually led the CIA director, Leon Panetta, to receive an email. The title was very suggestive. Closing in on Osama bin Laden's courier. And it explicitly suggested that Osama himself might be inside that compound.
That must have been a pivotal moment.
Huge. Panetta immediately presented this to President Barack Obama. Obama gave the go-ahead for an intensified investigation, but with one absolutely critical order. Pakistan was not to be informed, under any circumstances. So, starting in September 2010, the CIA dramatically intensified its surveillance. They created this common document called Anatomy of a Lead, where every tiny detail related to the compound was meticulously added.
Building the case file.
They even discovered that women inside the compound occasionally used a phone, but would actively lie about their location, claiming to be in Kuwait when they were clearly in Abbottabad. By November 2010, the CIA team felt a very strong conviction that Osama was indeed there. When Obama pressed them, for a percentage of certainty, the team members gave ranges from 60% to 90%.
Still not 100%.
No. Obama, still cautious, insisted on exploring more possibilities. He feared that if it were someone else, like a wealthy Gulf sheikh, and they took action, it would severely damage the U.S.'s reputation and its already delicate relations with Pakistan.
Understandable caution. This is where the analysts really had to double down, prove their case. And what's striking about this phase is the incredible ingenuity they deployed for more concrete proof. They established observation posts near the compound, even renting an office a mile away. That served as a secret CIA camp for daily meetings. They used quiet Lexus coach cars to avoid suspicion during observations, blending right in.
Wow, and the compound was monitored 247.
Yep. Using advanced infrared cameras to detect body heat, thermal images, and night vision cameras to track all movement. Compiling daily reports on the residents' routines, they even managed to hide listening devices in nearby poplar trees.
Listening devices in trees. Amazing. By late December 2010, they noticed a consistent activity. A tall man, estimated at 6 feet 4 inches Osama's known height, would come to the top floor balcony and walk briskly, pacing. His face was obscured by shades, only his shadow was visible on the wall.
The Pacer. That became his nickname, didn't it?
That's right. The CIA tried to calculate his exact height from the shadow, but the range, 5'5" to 6'8", was just too broad for definitive proof. So the team concluded this tall man was undoubtedly the compound's head, as he never helped others with work. They now strongly suspected it was Osama living on that top floor, but they needed definitive proof. The CIA considered a truly audacious plan, digging under the compound for sewage access to obtain human waste for DNA testing.
Seriously. Sewage diving.
Yep. They already had Osama's family DNA from his father, who had 22 wives and 56 children, so plenty of reference points. However, they wisely dropped this plan. The risk of detection was just too high. Feared it would jeopardize the entire decade-long hunt if they got caught.
Makes sense. So they shifted to another controversial approach. A secret operative, codenamed Kate, approached a local Pakistani doctor named Shakil Afridi. She claimed to run a Save the Children NGO, helping poor children. She proposed a hepatitis B vaccination campaign in Abbottabad, with the real hidden aim of getting DNA samples from the children inside the compound.
Wow. A fake vaccination drive. Dr. Afridi initially wasn't very interested.
Apparently not. So Kate introduced a colleague, Sue, who promptly transferred $55,000 to his personal account.
Ah, money talks.
Seems so. Money secured, Afridi began the vaccination drive, recruiting nurses, health workers. They even put up posters advertising a high-quality MSON vaccine. When Dr. Afridi and his team finally reached Osama's compound and rang the bell, Ibrahim came out and, incredibly, turned them away. Subsequent phone calls also failed.
So the DNA plan failed too?
Completely failed. And Dr. Afridi, who was apparently unaware of the CIA's true motives, was later jailed for 33 years for treason against Pakistan. He remains there to this day. A truly tragic and complex subplot of this entire saga.
Definitely. Meanwhile, inside the compound, the couriers, Ibrahim and Abrar, were reaching their breaking point. Ibrahim was battling cancer, Abrar was on depression medication. They explicitly told Osama they couldn't continue living like this.
The pressure must have been immense on them, too.
Absolutely. Osama, understanding their plight, actually agreed to move. His plan was to leave after the 10th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks in September 2011. He was planning to buy a retirement house in Jeddah and sell the Abbottabad compound.
Wow. So he was planning to leave soon anyway. Did the U.S. know this?
No. This critical intel about Osama's planned departure was unknown to the U.S. at the time, but the CIA nevertheless realized they were running out of time. The window felt like it was closing.
The clock was definitely ticking. Gina Bennett, the analyst leading the team, put the final touches on that sensitive site exploitation, or SSE, document. This was this comprehensive, almost forensic document detailing the entire compound layout. Step-by-step staircases, vehicle parking, wall heights from every possible angle. It even included detailed cards for each resident, Osama, Ibrahim, Abrar, noting their estimated floor locations and heights. By this point, Gina was 100% certain Osama was in the compound, and the rest of the team collectively pushed for immediate action before he vanished again, perhaps forever.
Okay, so the intelligence is solidified. The CIA's top analysts, Panetta, Admiral McRaven, Mike Mullen, James Cartwright, Pentagon advisor Michael Vickers, they presented their findings to President Obama in the White House Situation Room. They even brought that detailed 3D model of the compound, created with the help of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. Let everyone visualize the target. They all confirmed action was necessary, and Obama agreed.
So what were the options on the table?
3 main ones were presented. First, a B-2 bomber strike. Bomb the compound with 24 bombs. Avoids risking U.S. commandos but carries major risks. Mass destruction, potential civilian casualties, and earthquake-like effect. And crucially, the possibility of destroying any DNA evidence of Osama, plus massive diplomatic fallout with Pakistan.
Right, an undeclared strike. Very risky politically.
Second option, precision drone attack. But this had a very high chance of Osama escaping, which was unacceptable after 10 years. A bilateral operation with Pakistan was also discussed.
But Obama rejected that immediately, right?
Instantly. Insisted Pakistan must not know about the operation under any circumstances.
Which left them with the fourth option, Admiral McRaven's suggestion, the special team raid. Special forces infiltrate the compound without Pakistan's knowledge, identify Osama directly, kill him. Seem as the best option, partly because if Osama wasn't there, the mission could potentially be suppressed, avoiding international fallout. The main downside, of course, was the extreme risk to the Special Forces officers themselves.
Exactly. After considering everything, Obama chose the riskiest option. A direct Navy SEAL raid. The operation was codenamed Neptune Spear, symbolizing the Navy SEALs' maritime heritage, Neptune, and a precise, effective attack spear. Admiral McRaven assured Obama they could prepare everything in just 3 weeks. The very next day, preparations began. In earnest, the best officers were chosen. Navy SEAL Team 6's Red Squadron, 24 elite officers. For pilots, they selected the U.S. Army's 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, the Night Stalkers, renowned for low-altitude, radar-evading flights. The chosen officers were told they were preparing for an operation in Afghanistan and Pakistan, but not the specific target yet.
Keeping it compartmentalized. Need-to-know basis.
Right. On April 10th, 2011, the team was taken to a secret location in a North Carolina forest. What awaited them there was incredible. An exact, full-scale replica of the Abbottabad compound, built just for practice. The team practiced floor by floor, over and over, even training that Belgian Malinois dog named Cairo, who practiced jumping from helicopters. A Pashto translator was also integrated into the team, crucial for communicating inside the compound.
Practicing on a full replica,
That's
the
it.
level of detail is amazing.
5 days later, April 18th, the team was moved to another secret location in Nevada, where the temperature and elevation were meticulously matched to Afghanistan for further practice on an identical model.
And it wasn't just the SEAL team preparing, right? What's truly impressive is the sheer scope of planning beyond them. Other crucial teams were getting ready too. An interrogation team with lawyers and interpreters trained on the USS Carl Vinson aircraft carrier in the Arabian Sea, ready if Osama surrendered. A media team prepared statements for every possible scenario: Osama killed, surrendered, SEALs captured, mission failure. And complex escape plans were drafted by Mark Kelton and Ambassador Cameron, detailing routes to the Indian border or Karachi. Where the USS Carl Vinson ship was already positioned as a rendezvous point, they tried to think of everything.
Incredible contingency planning. So the intricate plan was set. The team would wait at the U.S. Air Base in Jalalabad, Afghanistan, with 5 helicopters, 2 UH-60 Black Hawk stealth helicopters for the main assault, 3 Boeing CH-47 Chinook helicopters, 1 Chinook as backup for fuel, 2 Chinooks with a quick reaction team of 24 officers waiting 50 miles away in the Kaladaka Swat Hills in Pakistan, and an RQ-170 Sentinel stealth drone monitoring the compound from above.
A complex aerial ballet.
On April 26th, the team arrived at Bagram Airfield, then moved to Jalalabad on April 27th, waiting for the green light. On April 28th, Obama gave the final approval at 8:20 a.m., setting the operation for April 30th. However, bad weather, thick fog forced a delay, and the historic date was rescheduled to May 1st, 2011. Finally, May 1st, 2011, the day arrived. At 1:22 p.m. Eastern Time in the U.S., almost 11 p.m. in Afghanistan, Panetta and McRaven initiated the operation. Around 2 p.m. U.S. time, President Obama, reportedly still in his golf clothes, sat down in the White House Situation Room to receive live update.
Imagine the tension in that room.
Must have been unbelievable. At 11:30 p.m. Afghanistan time, Osama, completely unaware, went to sleep on the top floor with his wife and children after dinner. From Jalalabad, the 4 active helicopters, 2 Chinooks, 2 Blackhawks, began their low-altitude flight, entered Pakistani airspace in just 15 minutes, successfully evading Pakistani radar. Around midnight, they reached Swat Valley, where the 2 Chinooks, with the quick reaction team, waited as backup. Admiral McRaven provided live updates to the White House from Jalalabad. Obama and his team watched the live feeds from the drone and the officers' helmet cameras. Unprecedented real-time observation.
Seeing it unfold live, wow.
Around 12:30 a.m., the 2 Blackhawks reached Osama's compound. The layout was known from surveillance. Main gate, garbage area, vegetable garden. Ibrahim's family slept near the main entrance. Abrar's family on the ground floor of the main compound. Osama's son Khalid on the first floor. Osama with his wives and children on the top floor. Chalk 2, 12 Navy SEALs with Cairo, the dog, and the translator deployed first. 1 SEAL in Cairo immediately secured the main gate. 3 other SEALs landed on the road. The rest jumped over the roadside wall towards the main compound, cutting the compound's lights. Total darkness for those inside. The SEALs, of course, had night vision goggles. But then, that unforeseen complication. As Chalk 1, the second Black Hawk with 12 SEALs, attempted to land, it got caught in its own downward airflow that, settling with power phenomenon, became unstable. During training, the replica walls were chain-link fences. The actual compound had much higher concrete walls. The helicopter blade struck the concrete. Though the pilot skillfully nose-landed it, the helicopter was severely damaged. Its tail section remained dramatically embedded in the wall.
That crash instantly changed everything. No more stealth. Element of surprise gone. The second helicopter remained. The drone continued to monitor. Snipers took positions. And interestingly, all of Abbottabad's lights also went out, part of the CIA's plan for low visibility, adding to the chaos. That's when Shoaib Akhtar, the local cricket star, famously tweeted about a helicopter hovering at 1 a.m., then later a loud explosion. He was live tweeting the raid without knowing it.
Incredible. So the SEAL team used C4 explosives to breach the main gate. Inside, first room, Ibrahim fired shots from behind a closed door. SEAL Matthew returned fire, killing Ibrahim. Ibrahim's wife then came out, fearing for her children hidden behind sacks. She and the children surrendered immediately. Matthew's team moved towards the main compound, breaching another gate with C4. O'Neill's team with the translator was already advancing. The helicopter circling overhead, a constant presence. Osama, top floor, no windows, remained largely unaware, at least initially.
Hard to know exactly when he realized what was happening.
On the ground floor, they encountered Abrar, his wife, 3 children. The translator called out to Abrar in his language. As Abrar appeared, he was shot and killed. His wife was also shot. All women and children in the compound were quickly gathered in one place for safety. The SEAL team moved to the first floor. Osama's son Khalid opened fire with an AK-47 but was swiftly eliminated. O'Neill's team then proceeded to the top floor. Through night vision, they finally saw him. A tall man, Osama. Osama's wife, Amal, tried to shield him, standing in front. Moments later, Osama pushed her towards the SEALs. They briefly suspected a suicide vest, but there wasn't one. O'Neill shot Amal in the knee. Then at 1:10 a.m., Osama was shot twice in the forehead, just above his left eye. Killed instantly.
But even after shooting him, the SEAL team wasn't 100% sure right. Shows the need for absolute verification. SEAL Bissonnette meticulously cleaned Osama's face, took photos, sent them back immediately for confirmation. That process alone took about 15 minutes. And in that bizarre detail amidst the chaos, they even tried to measure his height, but had forgotten their measuring tape.
Can you believe it? Forgot the tape measure. The translator then questioned Osama's daughters. Sumaya told the truth, confirmed it was her father, Osama. Mariam, another daughter, initially lied, said he was Abdul bin Muhammad. But an 11-year-old daughter, Safiya, also confirmed it was Osama. His second wife, Korea, also confirmed his identity.
Multiple confirmations needed.
Right. With that confirmation, Admiral McRaven in Afghanistan was called via satellite phone. The coded message, Geronimo EKIA, Geronimo, Osama's nickname, EKIA, enemy killed in action. The White House was immediately informed. Mission successful.
The backup CH-47 Chinook quickly arrived to assist. All women and children gathered in the compound's vegetable garden safely away. The SEALs systematically collected all intelligence from Osama's room, hard drives, cell phones, papers, cameras, DVDs, a potential gold mine. The crashed helicopter's tail section, still in the wall, was then blown up with C4 explosives to prevent capture, causing another loud explosion that Shoaib Akhtar tweeted about again. At 2:26 a.m., both helicopters departed Pakistan via different routes to avoid tracking. Osama's body samples were divided and placed in both helicopters as a safeguard. The entire operation, infiltration to extraction, just 40 minutes.
40 minutes to end a decade-long hunt. Just incredible. Osama's body was taken to Jalalabad, Afghanistan for final DNA testing matched against family DNA. His clothes were removed and, perhaps surprisingly, 500 euros were found into them. His body checked thoroughly. At 11:35 a.m. U.S. time, President Obama announced to the world Osama bin Laden had been killed in Pakistan. The speech was ready. Osama's body was then placed in a V-2 aircraft and buried in the Arabian Sea with Muslim rituals. No gravesite shrine.
Meanwhile, in Pakistan, around 3:45 a.m., the army finally arrived at the compound. Osama's wives and children were taken to a hospital in a covered bus for interrogation, where they described the entire scenario of that night and how they lived there in secret for 5 long years.
And when the CIA later made some of those files from Osama's room public, the contents were incredibly surprising, offered this bizarre glimpse into his hidden life. Included not just terror plans, but mundane stuff, documentaries about himself, adult content, even children's games.
Yeah, what's truly fascinating there is the sheer banality of some of it. Provides such an interesting, almost jarring contrast to the image of the world's most wanted terrorist. Shows the hidden, often contradictory aspects of his daily life. Even in hiding, it really challenges our preconceived notions, doesn't it?
It really does. The SEAL team, of course, received immense appreciation for the successful operation. And, as that truly humorous anecdote, Obama, hearing they'd forgotten one, later gifted the SEAL team a measuring tape. This deep dive truly reveals the incredible tenacity, meticulous planning, and detailed work that went into a decade-long hunt to finally capture the world's most wanted man. This has been an absolutely wild deep dive into an operation that, well, it truly changed history. The layers of intelligence, the sheer human will to keep going for a decade, and those split-second decisions under immense pressure. It's really a lot to process.
Yeah, it is. And this whole narrative, it raises a powerful question for all of us, I think. In an age where we think we know everything with pervasive information, what might still surprise you most about the hidden lives of global figures? And how much can truly be known from the fragments they leave behind?
That's a great question. We hope this deep dive gave you a unique perspective and left you feeling truly well-informed. As you reflect on this story, consider that question for yourself. What stood out to you in this deep dive? We'd love for you to think about that.